Now, if you were born in the 90s, the Tata Sierra meant proper aspiration in metal. It was a 3-door boxy SUV with acres of glassroom that made the likes of the 800 and the Ambassador feel like household appliances. And even though it was the first taste for us Indians of a lifestyle SUV, reliability, refinement, and even practicality weren't its strongest chapters. But now, 3 decades later, Tata has brought back the nameplate, and it can't just be a novelty because it's going to go up against a lot of fierce competitors, the likes of the Hyundai Creta as well. And then the question writes itself: is this 3 decades of nostalgia just packaged in sheet metal, or is this going to fulfill the promise of the OG Sierra? Well, let's find out.
Yeah, they hate when you elevate. They stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight.
Now let me start with the design, because that is what is most reminiscent of the original Sierra. And this one continues with the boxy silhouette, but there are a lot of modern additions. For example, starting up front, you have a single piece LED and not like a 3-piece unit that the other Tata modern cars have. This one is a single unit. It's got neatly integrated turn signals as well, the slimmest headlamps in the industry according to Tata guys, and they also have a booster function that I'll get into once we start driving. Below that, you have cuboidal fog lamps as well, and the overall design looks really premium. According to the Sierra designers, if you remove the Sierra badging over here or anywhere else, people will still recognize it as a Sierra. Do you agree to that? Let us know in the comments below. But if you come lower down, you have gloss black elements over here, a satin finish silver for the skid plate. You have your ADAS module right over here, as well as your 360-degree camera. But there's more interesting stuff on this side. Now on the side, you see that the LED continues into this bonnet line, which makes it clamshell. Really nice, clean look. Over here, you have 19-inch wheels on the top-end variant. The standard starts from 17 inches, the mid variants get 18 inches, and the top of the line gets this in this silver and black finish. Looks like an EV aero disc, but in my opinion, fills the arches really well, which themselves are quite chunky, finished in gloss black. What else is chunky are the side bumpers in this gloss black again. You have the Sierra badging, blacked out mirrors, and a pillar gives you that floating roof effect, and you have a 360-degree camera over here. You have clean, neatly integrated door handles which have this light illumination, very nice. The overall wheelbase is the longest in the segment according to Tata at 2730 millimeters, and then you come to this iconic B-pillar and this wraparound glass house effect. But this itself is not glass, this is just black paint, but it is reminiscent of the Sierra vibe, which is quite nice. And instead of a 3-door, this one is actually 5-door, so a lot more practical. But coming toward the rear, there is a horse in the window over here, which brings us to the rear. Now coming to the back, the clamp-shaped bonnet, that continues in the boot as well over here. You have a single piece LED for the tail lamps, again neatly integrated indicators. You have gloss black and silver finish for the lower bumper. You have pretty much a very prominent Sierra badging with Tata over here, and you also get a rear wiper that's neatly integrated into the spoiler. Apart from that, this promises to have the largest boot in the segment with 622 liters. The boot lid itself is electrically powered, and it also comes with gesture control as well as a remote boot release. Apart from that, the spare wheel is not housed over here, obviously not housed on the boot lid like the original Sierra. In fact, it is mounted right underneath the floor over there. In the back, you have a neatly integrated subwoofer. I get into that more once I get in. And the number I mentioned earlier, 622 liters, is still the top. So in case you want to fill all the space, you'll have to remove the parcel shelf, and you can just keep it here. Tata has made sure that you don't have to find additional space to keep your parcel shelf, and that's a neat little trick. Apart from that, you have your JBL woofer right over here, and a couple of hooks and a 12-volt socket as well. And that reminds me, let's get in and actually tell you about the JBL speakers. Now step inside the cabin, and the first thing that gets your attention is the massive amount of digital real estate. You have a digital instrument cluster, a separate screen for your infotainment, and a separate screen for your passenger as well. Now if I go into the depth of these screens, that's going to be a 1-hour video in itself. But let me tell you about the highlights. As I mentioned, it gets sound from JBL, 12 speakers all around that give you a Dolby Atmos impact over here. Again, it's branded with Dolby Atmos, and this itself, this fabric-like material that you see in the center, is a sound bar. Above that, you have 3D textured soft touch materials, which is finished in cream and already has scuff. This is done 800 kilometers and already has this scuff, so I don't know how long this is going to last. And similarly, the gloss black panel on the steering wheel again has scratches and scuffs already. This we've seen in the Harrier and the Safari, is the same steering unit, and so is this gear lever selector, again finished in gloss black. Why? And the worst of all is this HVAC control center, which is again touch sensitive. You do have dual zone climate control center, but again touch sensitive and gloss black. Why? Okay, apart from that, you have cup holders over here, Type-C fast charging, 65 watts over here, some storage space with wireless charger, not a lot but quite deep. You have a nice Easter egg with geometric texture and Sierra with the coordinates of where it was made. But apart from that, this is the best execution of interior that I have seen from Tata Motors yet, and it is impressive. What is one thing that confuses me is that in the top variant where you get the 3 screens, you don't get a heads-up display. But a variant below that, which has the dual screen setup, doesn't have the passenger screen, gets a heads-up display, which personally is a bit confusing to me. But having said that, what else do we get? We have a terrain mode selector. Again, I'll talk about the modes and the terrain modes once I start driving. But apart from that, you get ventilation function for the front seats, and you have memory functions for the electric seats themselves. The seating is great. You sit very high, so you have a commanding view of the road ahead. And these power bulges are a nice touch. Makes you feel like you're sitting in something really powerful. But let's step in the back and see if we have any space, because the OG Sierra, not the most practical one there yet. Alright, but let me show you one more thing. Come closer, come closer. You have your seat, and it has an extendable under thigh support that is new for a Tata. And apart from that, you have good amount of practicality in the door bins as well, and a separate slot for your umbrella. But enough of that, let's get in the back. Now in the back seat. Now the driver's seat is adjusted to my ideal driving position. I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall for reference, and I have loads of leg room. I can put my feet under the seat itself. You have a nice scoop back over here, so knee room is great as well. Headroom is also great. I don't think there are more taller people who are going to get in the back. Even the seat width is quite nice, so you can sit 3 people comfortably. The bonus being, you have a flat-ish floor over here that gives you a good amount of space. Even 3 headrests in the back, all adjustable. If there are only 2, you can get down the armrest, which has cup holders. You have 2 Type-C charging ports. And the pro of this is that in most cars where you have USB type ports and you have to connect your phone for, say, Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, this one also has that functionality in the back as well. So if your chauffeur is driving and you're in the back, you can have complete control over here, even though it's got wireless Android Auto and CarPlay. But apart from that, you have the B pillar again. It's quite chunky over here, neatly integrated speaker. You have sunshades, very nice. And if you want more sun, you have this expansive panoramic sunroof that actually opens quite a lot, if you can see right now. But let me get on the left side. Now over here, not a lot of leg room, right? But you can change that with the boss mode. Now you have a lot more leg room over here. In fact, you can even recline the seat a bit more. You have 2 steps, and just get your headrest up, lounge in the back, and fall asleep in the new Sierra. Oh, and you have these 2-tone, really premium looking seats, finished in cream and beige. But would you actually prefer a darker color, or are you happy with this sort of finish for the interior? Let us know in the comments below. With that, let's get behind the wheel. So we are sitting and driving the next generation of the Sierra, which is the second generation, and Tata has brought it back with an internal combustion focus before the inevitable electric version arrives later. Now you have two petrol options and a diesel, and the one we are driving comes with a 1.5 litre turbo petrol that makes around 158 brake horsepower and 255 Newton meters of torque. Now it is paired with a 6-speed torque converter unit from Assen this time instead of Hyundai. There's also 1.5 litre diesel, which is the same motor that the Tata Curve gets, but this one is in a higher state of tune. It now produces 116 brake horsepower and 280 Newton meters of torque and is available in 6-speed manual and a 6-speed automatic as well. The third is the 1.5 litre naturally aspirated engine, which isn't available today for us to test, but it produces 105 brake horsepower and 145 Newton meters of torque, which again comes with a manual or an automatic transmission, but the automatic is actually a DCA. Now, in terms of the architecture, the Sierra is based on Tata's new platform. It's called Argos, and it is inherently available with all-wheel drive, but this one only gets front-wheel drive for now. It's also capable of doing hybrids as well as EVs. So that is something we can expect in the future. Now, from the get-go, press the start button and the refinement immediately stands out. Gone is the industrial clatter that Tata engines were once associated with. The idle is smooth and the cabin isolation is genuinely impressive. Now on the move, the turbo petrol feels relaxed rather than urgent. There's enough shove from the motor to make overtakes clean and confident, and the torque, it also builds progressively. There's city and sport driving modes and a rough and wet terrain modes that you can control from the button right over here. The automatic gearbox that this one gets, it complements the engine with a clean, predictable shifts, and you can also use the paddle shifter for that sort. Now, what is impressive besides the refinement of the motor is the fact that the punch is not only limited to the low range, it is also there in the middle and even at the top of the rev band. And that makes it a very linear experience while you are accelerating quite hard. Put your foot down and it drops a gear promptly and gets on with the job. And now we shall sit in the diesel to see what's the difference. Now we are in the diesel, and as expected, it feels grittier but also more suited for long distance touring. Turbo lag is present but contained, and once it spins, the mid-range, it moves with a very easy progression. It feels easy, it feels effortless, it's rhythmic, and for those who do more highway than city, this engine will likely be the sweet spot. Now, ride quality has been Tata's strength from the get-go, and the Sierra continues that legacy with a lot of confidence. Low speed bumps are rounded off, surface imperfections are dismissed, and the suspension feels well calibrated rather than anything else, because the top of the line variant, the one that we are sitting in, gets FDDs. Now all of this is all the more impressive because we're riding 19-inch wheels, which is the biggest offering in this segment. Now the FDDs, or the frequency dependent dampers, they smooth out bumps and keep the vehicle composed, and which inspires or instills confidence from behind the wheel. At speed, the Sierra settles down into a steady and planted gait. There's a bit of body roll, yes, but nothing sloppy or lazy of sorts. The steering is light at low speeds and it becomes hefty as you gain speed. And not only that, even the headlamps, if you're driving in the night, become more intensive because it has a booster once you cross 70 kilometers an hour. But coming back to the ride, in terms of feeling sporty, it's not, but it feels mature, and that maturity actually suits the Sierra. But having spent some time from behind the wheel, I have two complaints. The first one is the brakes. Now they do a commendable job of stopping this big SUV very impressively, but the pedal feel just lacks that bite, that reassurance. It feels very soft because again, it's brake by wire, and that isn't really to my liking. And the second is the steering. The steering is precise, but not enough. It does have that vagueness slightly, and the steering wheel itself, if you've seen other of my Tata videos, I have always complained that the button placement, if I turn left, triggers the cruise control. If I turn right, cuts the call, because they come in my palm of sorts with the grip that I have. So those are the only two complaints I have with driving the Sierra. Apart from that, it's been a phenomenal experience and actually a very impressive one for the Tata Sierra. Now in terms of safety, it gets level 2 ADAS with 22 different functions, and while we don't know the Euro NCAP or the Bharat NCAP figures, you can bet your bottom dollar that this is Tata and it will get 5-star safety. The new Sierra, it doesn't try to imitate the past. Instead, it carries forward the idea that the original represented, a personal SUV that's more emotional statement than pure utility. Now, where the OG Sierra needed forgiveness, the new one demands none of that. It's comfortable, it's refined, quick enough, and polished in ways early Tata owners could only dream of. And the Sierra has come back, and not as a brand experiment or a retro re-engineering. It has come as a fully formed product. It has the sense of purpose, personality, and the presence to back it up in a segment with safe formulaic SUVs. And definitely this is not going to be the cheapest option in there, with introductory prices starting at 11.49 lakhs for the base variant. We have no clue, or we have no information about what the pricing for the other variants or even the top end is going to be. So for that, we're going to just keep updating it in the pinned comments below. But having said that, if you are looking for an SUV that has authenticity and identity, the Sierra has genuinely delivered what the original one promised. With that, is it a lifestyle SUV? Yes, but this time it has the engineering to back that lifestyle. What do you guys think about the new Tata Sierra? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. We will see you next time.